When Lexus introduced the legendary IS 300 back in the year 2000, it was designed to be a competitor to the renowned BMW E46 3 Series. The IS 300 is also known around the world to be one of the best handling sports sedans of the 2000s. 23 years later, we have the new IS 350, which still competes with its German counterparts. But let's see if the IS still lives up to its Altezza roots. Today, it's your turn to decide which IS is best. Today's gonna be a bit of a special treat because we have the new IS and the cool IS.
So this is Loki. This is my personal 2001 IS in solar yellow. This one has about 246,000 miles on it and it's lightly modified. It's got some TRD bits here and there and it's got a rod mill and body kit on it as well.
And this IS isn't mine, but it's a 2023 IS 350 F Sport in atomic silver. It's a pretty color, but this is not my color of choice. This IS also has the F Sport handling package, which adds adaptive dampers and different drive modes. The MSRP of this IS is $55,000. $55,000. You can find one of these for $5,500. Now let's talk engines. This is really where the differences between this IS and this IS are evident, and where the both of us think one is better than the other.
So starting off with my IS, this car actually came with the legendary 2JZ. However, it's not the same one that you'd find in a Mark IV Supra. This is still a 3-liter inline 6, but it goes by the name of the 2JZ GE because this is actually a non-turbo. Back in 2001, you could only get one engine, one transmission, and one drive system. In this application, this car made 215 horsepower and 218 pound-feet of torque, and it goes only to the rear-wheel drive. Back in 2001, you could only get an automatic, but in later years, you could also get the choice of a 5-speed manual.
Lexus actually still offers the 3rd gen IS in IS 300 form, just like this one. However, the new IS 300, with the rear-wheel drive model, you get a 240 horsepower 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. That's kind of weird. Where's the 300? The all-wheel drive IS 300s get this 3.5-liter V6, but it's detuned to 260 horsepower. Still, where's the 300?
Where's the H?
Over here, cylinders still say at 6, but the new IS uses a 3.5-liter V6, also known as the 2GR FKS. It's the same engine that you'll find in the current ES 350, even the last generation RX. And even if I think about it, pretty much every RX 350 till the last gen. Highlander, Venza, Camry, Sienna. You name it! This engine makes 311 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. This one is an all-wheel drive model, so it uses an archaic 6-speed automatic transmission. The rear-wheel drive IS 350 uses an 8-speed transmission though. 0 to 60 for an all-wheel drive IS like this one though is right around 5.7 seconds. So I know for both of these, practicality is not the most exciting thing. It is quite boring, but they both do have trunks. So the 01 doesn't have that big of a trunk. You have 10.8 cubic feet of volume. This one has a big ass subwoofer in it from I think 2001, so you lose probably like half of that, but maybe a small person can fit in this area here. But the rear seat is a 60-40 split, and there is a spare tire. Is there a spare tire? There is a spare tire. Okay, so you probably think newer is bigger, huh? Well, you're wrong. The new IS gets 10.8 cubic feet of volume. That's not that much bigger. This one just doesn't have a huge amp in it. You can barely fit 2 suitcases in here, but this also has a 60-40 split folding rear seat. Now, as an enthusiast, I really feel much more at home behind the wheel of the old IS. Everything is just so much more mechanical feeling. The steering is so great. It's not that heavy. It has a nice, perfect amount of weight to it. I honestly wish it could be a little bit heavier. As it is, it's fantastic. It's very linear, very smooth. The 2J is also very quiet when you're driving normally. This one has an exhaust on it, so that's why it's louder than stock. This one is also on lowering springs, and it still rides very well. It's comfortable. Like, I could do road trips with this car easy. Now, of course, this comparison isn't going to be exactly apples to apples because there's just so many differences between the old one and the new one, but I much prefer the mechanical throttle on this old one. The response is so much better than the new one. This one is an automatic IS, but it does have buttons on the wheel to control the transmission, at least a little bit. Of course, this is 90s technology, so it's not going to beat the paddles on the new IS, but the one IS to get is the manual IS. But even in automatic form, it's very fun. I'm not really on any back roads right now, but believe me, this car is a hoot on back roads. And yes, compared to its larger sibling, the GS, you do sacrifice a bit of the luxurious features of the IS, but I think it's a good compromise for the handling. But this feels so much lighter, so much more nimble, so much more playful. And it's so interesting. The interior of this honestly feels less cramped than the new one. I think it's just the way how the dash is designed. But the new IS feels so much more cramped than this. The gauges of the old IS are also very distinctive, just like the new one. Of course, there's no digital readouts, but I honestly prefer the analog gauges more. And even this IS at almost 250,000 miles, this thing feels very well built. Nothing really creaks or rattles in the interior. This feels so solid. And all the controls, like for the climate control, are very simple to use. It's only single zone in the IS 300, but that's all you need, especially for a car this size. One of the advantages that the 2J has over the 2GR in the IS 300 is all the mods you can throw at this car. And also you can have this with a manual transmission, but people turbo these and make up to like 1,000 horsepower. On the other hand, I feel pretty cocooned in the IS 350. Now, of course, because this is a new car and I've just hit 3,000 miles with it, this is of course gonna feel more solid, and it's on stock suspension, no lowering springs, and no exhaust. I do have to say though, the 2J in the IS 300 sounds better than the 2GR with an exhaust. The steering in this one is electric compared to the hydraulic setup in the IS 300, so there's less road feel than the IS 300. You're a lot more isolated from the road. Now, I already know that it doesn't really make that much sense to try to compare an old car with a new car, especially the old version of the new car. But it is quite the treat to be able to drive both back to back, especially the IS 300 is a special car. The IS 350 now feels like a tech device. This one also has a lot of technology built into it, like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and also adjustable drive modes. The steering does stiffen up, and also the shocks do stiffen up. Ultimately, the decision is yours, the old car or the new car. Personally, me and Michael like the old IS more. It's just more raw. Thank you for watching this video of this IS versus IS. Let me know in the comments if you have an IS 300 or an IS 350, and let me know which one you think is better. That'll start some arguments in the comments. That's always fun to watch. But thank you for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, peeps.